Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Beyond Jiu-Jitsu podcast. My name's Adam Childs with Kieren Lefebvre, episode 73, Changing Teams. I did it! The perfect intro.
Excellent. Well done.
I said words in a row. Yeah.
But the rest of the episode is going to be terrible. No. This is an interesting topic. Changing teams. I've never experienced it myself. I know that you have.
I wish you would. Don't press the button.
I was going to, but I remember last time you were threatening to confiscate my button privileges. So I need to keep that shit in check. However, cut me deep. Cut me deep.
Yeah, changing teams. It happens.
Welcome to the Gracie Baja podcast.
I like it. It's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
Is that name taken?
No.
Is that team name taken? Never heard of it.
Yep. It's funny when you have like external MCs come and orchestrate the local jiu-jitsu comps here in Sydney. A lot of the time they call it Gracie Barra.
Yeah, they sure do.
It's quite funny. Like they'll be just like an MC, you know, like a MC for hire, and they'll be like, oh, this person from Gracie Barra. And you're like,
yeah. What's some of the other ones you hear? Like, I don't know, but yeah, I guess any Portuguese word that's pronouncing correctly.
How do you pronounce alliance in Portuguese? Because they call it like alliance, right? Alliance, yeah. Because you hear like the jiu-jitsu orientated MCs, particularly their Portuguese background, they'll say team alliance. Yeah,
which I think is also, I don't know, That's funny because like I think when you're speaking, whatever language you're speaking, you pronounce it in that, like you pronounce the word as you would in that language.
Otherwise you wouldn't be able to be understood as easily.
Sort of, but like, you know, Barra and alliance are different because like it's the alliance is a word in English and it's a word in Portuguese. They just obviously have different pronunciations, right? So if you're speaking in English, for me, you use the English pronunciation.
But if you're saying
whereas Barra, like it's a place, right? So it's not like, you know, oh, but Barra's the English pronunciation for the word. It's like, well, no, the word doesn't exist in English. So therefore it kind of.
It's a name and it's Baja.
Yeah, exactly. It's the name of a place. So it really only has the Portuguese pronunciation, which for anyone listening, is Baja.
Because R's in Portuguese are pronounced as a H sound, right?
No, it depends. If the R is at the start of the word, it's a H. So, for example, Rio, the city, is actually pronounced Rio, right? With a H. Yeah.
Mind blown. Really?
Yeah. So all these.
Rio. I thought it was Rio. That's so crazy.
So all these famous Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys or football players, and their names start with R. So, like, you know, well, how do you say Rickson Gracie?
No,
you say Hickson Gracie.
It's spelled with an R.
Yeah.
And same as De La Riva. When I first tried to learn how to spell that, I was like, what the fuck? It's De La Riva?
Yeah.
I've been saying De La Riva this whole time.
Yeah.
You know, that's
like
the
Roger Gracie, Renato, all the football players. Like
even your wife, Hanada, right?
Yeah.
It's spelled with an R.
Yeah.
Sometimes she introduces herself as the R pronunciation.
Just because
makes it easy.
English speakers, it's easy. But in Gracie Baja's situation, it's pronounced with a H if the word starts with an R, or if there are two R's together, it's then a H sound.
Fuck, there you go.
So
Portuguese
Baja
lessons.
B-A-R-R-A, right?
Right. So two R's in a row is a H, or if it's at the start of the word.
Yeah, think about like porrada, everyday porrada.
It's two R's.
Yeah, it's two R's is how it's spelled.
Right. If
it was one R, then it would be rolling your R and it would be porrada.
Yeah.
That would be pronounced. But because it's two R's, it's
all the R's are rolled.
Yeah.
So, if anything, it would be Gracie Barra.
If it was one, Barra. If it was one R, it would be Barra.
Yeah.
Gracie Barra.
Yeah, I have a hard time rolling the R's. I always overemphasize it because they roll their R's in Swedish as well.
Oh, do they?
I'm trying to learn Swedish, and I always really when I roll it, I have to fucking roll it, you know?
Yeah, it's funny. I never had a problem with it unless it's words that are a T and then an R in Portuguese. I really struggle with. So like the Portuguese words for like train and things like that, like as in a train station, like because it's T and then R, like I really struggle with it. But anyway, that's a Portuguese lesson.
No, that was
instead
awesome.
of changing teams lesson.
Jiu-jitsu
Well, I guess
related?
it is because if you want to change teams, don't walk in and be like, I'm ready to join Gracie Barra.
Barra.
Barra. Crazy Barra.
Barracuda.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you do hear that, right? Like, so-and-so from Gracie Barra.
And you're like, I cringe a little. I'm not even a part of the team, obviously. I'm Allianz. But yeah, you cringe a little. You're like, oh, just doesn't sit right. But
it sounds terrible as well. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, but I feel that when they're like, and Roger Gracie is Roger. Like Roger sounds like such a lame name, but Hodger, I'm on board with.
Yeah. Shout out to all the Rogers out there. We don't think your name sounds lame.
Yeah, imagine if you had like a live listen account and it's just gone like boop, like 20 people disappear.
20 Rogers. If your name is Roger, we want to know about it.
Yeah. If your name's Roger, start introducing yourself as Hodger.
Yeah.
You'll get more ladies.
Yeah. You have to have a cauliflower ear and be good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
That's the rules.
Yeah, you have to be a 10-time world champion.
Yeah. I got complimented on my cauliflower ear yesterday. Someone
By
said that
who?
Someone said that it's very uniformed. Like it's aesthetically pleasing. As far as collies go, it's quite aesthetic. It's not like, in one spot only. It's
Who
like
said that?
the complete top ads.
Did he?
Yeah. He's like, oh, collie, nice. It's very aesthetic. I'm like, shut up, dude.
Your face is like uniformly ugly. Yeah. I like it.
It's very consistent. Yeah, so my right ear is fucked. So I can never quit jiu-jitsu.
No, otherwise you're just an ugly dude who can't fight.
Exactly.
Yep, that's what they say.
Still going to be an ugly dude, but I might be able to do jiu-jitsu a little bit.
A little bit of jiu-jitsu. Okay, so before we dive in, just want to give a shout out. We got a shout out to give. Matt from Nevada. Thanks for sending the message, Matt. I'm not going to read it to people, although I will read the start of it. He said, great podcast, gentlemen. Then put in brackets, I use that term loosely.
Yeah, it made us laugh.
But yeah, thanks for the message, bro. We shall keep the topics coming to use your words, tiny brain. I'm not going to say you had a tiny brain. You did a pretty solid burn.
To be able to understand this podcast, you need to be quite advanced cognitively.
Yeah.
Like we talk about some highbrow things here at the Beyond Jiu-Jitsu podcast.
We should get top hats.
Yes. And cigars and a mustache. What the fuck? This intro is outrageous. So, changing teams.
Yeah. When everyone wants to know, when are you doing it, Kieren? I'm Gracie Barra. Here I come.
This might be bad timing to announce on the air, but yeah, I am leaving. Yes. No, I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't know where to go.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, well, to be honest, in the area where we live, you are spoiled for choice.
Oh yeah, we have lots of different teams.
I don't know. It's up to you to decide whether they're good choices.
They're all excellent.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just talking shit.
Yeah.
I don't buy into the whole team loyalty thing, despite being quite loyal to my team. But yeah, it goes back to the old sort of incorrect mentality of gyms, instructors or teams feeling like they own the student. And some teams take it aggressively far. I don't want to say teams because, it's very even the whatever team that behaves inappropriately or does this and that and all this bullshit. Obviously, that's not everyone in the team, you know. So it's like whenever you're talking about a group of individuals, obviously not 100% of people are like that. But, at this, one of my students, she trained at a different team previously and, obviously now trains with us. And she was telling me that at her previous gym and team, the amount of pressure that they would put to not allow any sort of cross-team interaction was she was saying that she was at a competition one time and she had a friend of hers fighting and who didn't train for the same team as her, different team. And she was coaching her friend because it's a friend of hers. And then her coaches all gave her the stink eye because she was coaching a
Was she
team.
fighting someone on her team though?
I can't remember, but does it fucking matter? For me, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So if I was fighting someone and someone that I train with, like one of our training partners, like, I don't know, pick anyone, right? Maybe whoever it is, like Toby, Anthony, whoever, or whatever, like anyone other than yourself. I was fighting someone and they started coaching the other person. I'd be a bit dirty. I'd be like, what the hell?
No, but that's like you're talking about people that like you personally know.
Yeah. Oh, right. Because the team that you're talking about expands beyond gyms.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I'm talking about if it's just the one team is in the one gym.
The brand was,
It's like, obviously that would be a bit weird because it'd be like,
you're coaching against your training partner. That's what I was thinking. I was like, fuck, man. I don't know.
No, I'm talking about a team where they have hundreds of gyms.
Yes.
So they have members that you've never seen before in your life. At that point,
it's a brand. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So it's like, and she got the sting. And like I said, I can't even remember if her friend was fighting someone from her own team, as in the global team.
Yeah, got you.
Right? But if she was, like, what's it matter?
Yeah.
Like, I remember I don't want to say the names of these people for this particular anecdote, but essentially what happened was there was this guy and he trained at a gym. And because he already trained there, his girlfriend left her gym to train at the same gym as him.
Okay.
Right? So this and not just like some fling boyfriend and girlfriend, like they've been together for years and whatever. Anyway, so the boyfriend and girlfriend were training at this gym, remembering the girl only came to that gym because her boyfriend trained there.
Got you.
And then, I mean, maybe after a year or something, and they're both brown belts, or purple belts or something, so that's not like they're new to jiu-jitsu. The boyfriend got kicked out of the gym for doesn't matter why, right? He just got kicked out. So the girlfriend left with him, as you would expect, right? And the owners of the gym like messaged the girl saying, oh, if you're following him instead of staying with the team, you've really got to reassess your life and realign your priorities and blah, blah, blah.
Wait, what?
I'm not making this up, bro.
So the gym owners and the people running the gym rank the team in jiu-jitsu higher than someone's long-term relationship.
Yes.
And that's a reality sort of warping.
I would like to think this opinion is like the one in a million gym who approaches it this way.
That's taking jiu-jitsu's life to the next level.
But it is. Shrek is life.
Shrek is love. Shrek is life.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
If you don't, Google it.
Strap yourself in, son. You're in for a ride. So that, I mean, we've spoken about these sort of extreme opinions and extreme approaches to jiu-jitsu before. But I mean, it takes stories like that to really bring it into reality and say, no, these people exist. I don't know, man. I think that's pretty ridiculous.
It's absurd. It's absurd. I believe if I don't want to say that if you love something, set it free.
You love it, set it free.
But if you
Adam, I'm setting
truly
you free.
I like you as a friend. I think I think if someone really has your best interests at heart, and particularly like your instructor, right? If they have your best interests at heart and want the best for you and out of you, then they will help you achieve that. And, that can start from just a coaching point of view and extend to a changing team's reality. So if we're talking about coaching, let's say one of our solid white belts, Nicholas, is really good at bolos. That's what he likes and everything. And I can teach him a bolo. I can do a bolo, but is it my specialty? No. So, when he's asking questions, I might point him in a direction that is, where another resource can better help him, because I'm not an expert at it. But that could also extend to, my student Sophia, when, she was looking she wanted to get out of Sydney because it's where she grew up and everything, but she still wanted to pursue her jiu-jitsu and train and whatever. And I'm pushing her to go to Melbourne, train with Lockie. It's the place to be or whatever. It'd be the same for you if you said to me, man, I'm willing to move overseas. Like, I wouldn't be upset if that meant you left Alliance, right? Like, you know, of course I lived in Brazil and I could say go there or go to Marcel or whatever, but like, you know, I could also go, man, you know, fuck for your style and where you're at, man, go train in, you know, with Andre Galvão, with Atos, like, because it's, I mean, you as an individual and your goals are more important for me than any team. I think, like, I love the camaraderie of the team, and that's great. I'm not trying to disregard that at all. And despite it being an individual sport, it is still a team sport in the sense that, well, you can't just train it by yourself, you know. But if your instructor really has your best interests at heart, you know, they should be okay with that. And you know, everyone's favorite, guys, it's a huge honor. Everyone's favorite guy, Bernardo, like it happened to him. You know, it was actually the first ever gym I trained at in Brazil was Brazilian top team in a city called Juiz de Fora, which is the city that Bernardo's from. It's the city my wife's from. And so that's where he got his black belt, from a guy called Ricardo Marques, the head of Brazilian top team in Juiz de Fora. And when Bernardo was like wanting to, man, like I want to pursue this, be world champion, whatever, like his coach, Ricardo, was like, man, you got to move to Sao Paulo and train with Fabio, you know? And that's why now Bernardo's known as being from Alliance and under Fabio and everything, because that's where he won all his world titles with Fabio. But it's because, I mean, maybe it's not because of Ricardo, but I mean, the fact that he had a coach that essentially told him to change teams, you know, like this is what's best for you. Like, and it's, let's imagine in an alternate universe that Ricardo wasn't like that. And he was more sort of, you know, like the whole Creonte thing and didn't let him change teams or whatever. Either Bernardo would have not been the successful athlete and the person we know him today in the jiu-jitsu community, or he still would have gone to Fabio and like had to then have this sour, salty relationship for the rest of his life with his previous coach, because his coach, you know, wasn't on board with him changing teams. You know, so I think that's a real perfect example of how life-changing having the ability to train wherever you want, you know, can go. And now, like, if Bernardo's ever in Juiz de Fora, he goes back to Brazilian top team. Like, I mean, it's still, I'm sure he still has very fond memories of the place and it'll always have a special place in his heart, you know. Same as if you ended up going to train with Atos. Same even for me, my very first coach was a Hicks and Gracie black belt, the first guy I trained with in Canada. You know, and if I ever saw him, I would still have a soft spot for Shane. His name's Shane Rice, the first ever like full-time coach I had. Whereas, yeah, and he was the same thing when I told him I was moving to Brazil. He was super supportive, like, and he was one that helped me pick to go to Alliance and whatever. And I think a good coach has your best interests at heart. I think it does definitely maybe hurt a little bit more from a coach point of view when it happens like locally. That sucks a little bit, but you know, like if your student leaves to go train at the other gym across the street or something, that sucks. But I think you got to like look at yourself, right? It shouldn't, you shouldn't be putting that blame on the student. You should be going, well, what did I do wrong as a business? What service wasn't I providing? What was wrong with my product? And sometimes there's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes that individual just doesn't want to buy what you're selling. You know, the other anecdote I always give is that when, you know, one of Australia's most well-known athletes, Levi Jones-Leary, when he first started moving overseas to train, the first place he went to was actually Cobrinha's in LA under Alliance. But he just didn't really gel with the way that the club was run and the way Cobrinha taught and everything. And then he ended up in New York with Unity as we know him today. But does that mean that it's a bad gym and Cobrinha's a bad instructor and whatever? No, I don't think so. Like Cobrinha's produced a whole lot of high-level guys. Cobrinha himself is one of the most successful jiu-jitsu athletes of all time. But it just didn't work for Levi. So the point is that some people just won't want to buy your product. You know, if my restaurant is a sushi restaurant and you don't like seafood, like it'd be ridiculous of me to be upset that you went across the road and had Italian. Well, you don't like fucking sushi, bro. You know, like, I mean, I can't please everyone. So, you know, sometimes, yes, there'll be something wrong with your product and your service, but sometimes not. right? And that's okay. Yeah, you know, it might suck a little bit, especially if you had a good rapport with that individual. But hey, man, like they're free to do whatever they want.
I think that you could summarize this whole ethos, if you will, this whole mentality of putting the individual above the team, whereas a lot of teams out there put the team above all the individuals.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that if you're emphasizing the needs of the individuals in that team, the team's going to be stronger in the end. But if you're simply prioritizing the team over everything.
Yeah, yeah. So I think but I think it's important. It's, you know, what's that old expression? God, I think it's from the Three Musketeers, isn't it? The whole like one for all for one, or whatever it is, all for one for all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like the individual and their goals as an individual is more important than the team, because when they're out on the mat, it is just them, right? And it's them and their success. If there's someone that's wanting to have a career in jiu-jitsu, I mean, it's them as an individual. Like the team isn't paying them their salary. Maybe some teams do. I don't know. That'd be crazy, but it'd be cool. You know, so they're more important. But it is, you know, one for all for one, in the sense that when you're in the team, you know, the team is important in the sense that like, okay, we're part of the same team. So if I help you, it makes you stronger as an individual, which makes the team stronger, which is going to help you make me stronger. You know, like you scratch my back, I scratch yours, sort of thing. So when you're
leave you itchy.
I like that as a comeback to that saying. I've never heard that. Did you just wing that then? I'm itchy. I like it.
You talk a lot of shit here. Beyond Jiu-Jitsu podcast.
So when you're in the team, I think it's important to support the team, as in like your direct teammates. I don't mean like the anecdote at the start. Oh, that dude's got an alliance gi. No idea who he is. But then my friend from, you know, Gracie Barra's fighting him, so I'm going to coach this dude that I've never met over my friend. No, I'm going to coach my friend, right? Like because, you know, my relationship with that person is more important than any team. But, you know, I mean your direct teammates, yeah, it's important that like that camaraderie is super important to make you all stronger, which makes you stronger as an individual. But yeah, like, you know, when it goes to any jiu-jitsu competition that doesn't have team points, and what I mean by that is like, let's say all the super fight events, like who's number one, dude, like they'll introduce them, or on the header on Flow Grappling, they'll say that it's training out of, but like no one cares, you know, like it really, it really doesn't matter. The same way that really in the UFC, no one cares what gym the UFC fighter fights out of, really, right? Like, so in that regard, you know, no team is bigger than any one individual. But, you know, like I'm trying not to upset too many people.
Yeah, don't upset anyone, Adam. We don't like doing that.
Except all the Rogers. You fuck off.
The Hodges, come on.
No, Hodges are cool.
Yeah.
Rogers
are Hodges in disguise. Oh, man, that's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, it's so weird considering that I came into this sport in your team, in Alliance, Rose Bay, Sydney, Alliance Sydney, and there was never this like Creonte mentality. There was never this like, you know, alliance or death being pushed. So it's kind of difficult to weigh in on a topic from the outside. I've never seen it.
You've never seen it or experienced it.
I've experienced like a drop in the ocean. Like I said, this is nothing, but I did 2 classes at Gracie Barra Bondi. And so I sort of understand their structure, but I was never there long enough to understand their culture. Right, you're never going to understand culture being there once or twice when you've never done jiu-jitsu before, right? Yeah, well, it's not going to happen.
I mean, I've had people will come down to my gym for open mats, and they've said to me, "Can you make sure I don't appear in any photos? Because if my coach sees it, he'll kick me out of the gym."
Yeah, that's a red flag. And I mean, we've done a whole episode.
I'm like, yeah, you should be thanking him. you should want to feature in a photo.
Yeah.
And like
you want to be on the website.
It's kind of like when you want to break up with someone, but like, you just be a really shitty partner, so they break up with you, so you don't have to be the bad guy.
This might be the equivalent of like you want to break up with your partner, so you make a sex tape with someone else. And you send them the Pornhub link. Maybe not. Not recommended.
Is that why these cameras are here?
They're waterproof. Gross.
Yeah. So just, I think, teams as well, like it's kind of is a bit of mixed messages going on, because as well, as a community, of course, you can't be a community if you're just one, right? So the community aspect, like in that regard, a team is bigger than any one individual. If you're talking about like the other sides of jiu-jitsu in terms of, just like the atmosphere or, going for post-competition celebrations or, the partying that goes on after Worlds or things like that.
Stuff like that.
Comp prep and, all that's bigger than any one individual. And from a marketing point of view, a team is bigger than any one individual as well, because one person can only be in one place at a time. But yeah, when you're talking about a person's individual journey or just an overall concept of a team owning a student is just absurd, man.
Yeah.
And
because at the end of the day, look, man, like we talk about it from a position of like jiu-jitsu is ranked pretty high in our lives, right? Which is understandable. We have a fucking jiu-jitsu podcast. Like you got to take everything with a grain of salt. We're looking at this through a lens of, jiu-jitsu is important. What about for the people that jiu-jitsu is legitimately a sport? They have no ambition to, compete. They probably won't even get a black belt one day. Maybe they will if they stick to it long enough.
Barely a hobby for them or something.
Mate, they train twice a week. They do it for fitness. They enjoy it. If you're one of those people, which is a lot of our listeners, and your team is having ownership of you, that's pretty fucking weird.
Yeah.
That's weird, man. Like,
especially because you're giving them money for that.
You're paying them for a service. You're paying to be a part of this team. Like you're paying to be in this club, right? And if they're like putting restrictions on your life, like, oh, you've moved cities, you can't train. Or if you train at another gym in this area, don't come back. That's pretty fucking weird.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it.
Yeah. I think, sometimes I think though, to throw a bone or to, in defense of the teams, I think sometimes this can happen though regarding like how it happens. So what I mean by that is there's two sides to every story. And, so the classic one is seeing someone leave a team and open a gym next door and, poach all the students from that current gym. That happens, but okay, you could argue, well, if the original gym was doing a good job, the students wouldn't have left to go there anyway. But, things like, let's say you have a student who you legitimately have done a lot for. I don't want to let's say you have a student who your gym, like I don't mean like your team, but your individual gym sponsors them, for example. Let's say you've got a student where you pay for their training, you pay for their competition fees, you give them free gis or whatever, like you have some sort of arrangement with them. That student should never feel like they're, perpetually in debt to you, because that's not fair, right? To offer something to a student to say like, oh, but you'll be in debt to me forever, right? Because, once it's in the past, it's in the past, right? But I think that situations like that is then why if that individual does eventually leave the team, if they do it in the wrong way, that's when it can become super salty, right? Like if you had a student who was with you for like 6 years, they've never paid to train, you paid for their aeroplane tickets to LA to go fight the Worlds, and you did all this stuff to support them and sponsor them to help them achieve their goals. And then all of a sudden, like, the gym across the street offers them some measly salary to coach there, and they just like up and leave you without even having a conversation with you or something. You can see how that then creates this kind of like Like, fuck, bro, like you did me dirty. You know,
I think that's between individuals.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess then, you know, all it takes is one of those, you know, illegitimate, like YouTube article, like what's that one? Like the BJJ Eastern European or whatever that always has like
they're very reputable.
Yeah, that always has like the lamest articles.
Hey
like,
man, they've published me. Come on, not all of them are shit.
Always has the lamest articles. But you know, like they'll just grab whatever content, like, and all it takes is something like that to grab that article and be saying like, you know, and they spin it however they want, like whatever, like Gracie Barra kicks out this person, or like so and so like leaves. Whatever, you know, so it can depend how it happens between the individuals, and then that can just be like dumped on the team, you know, like even look when Roberto Jimenez, like, you know, it was like, oh, Roberto Jimenez leaves Alliance. It's like, well, sort of, it was more that like his dad was essentially kicked out / left Alliance because of, you know, things falling apart between his dad, who's also a black belt, like Roberto's dad, and Alliance. And obviously Roberto is like, well, I'm not leaving my dad, right? So if my dad's leaving Alliance, I'm leaving Alliance, right? So it wasn't even so much like Roberto leaves Alliance. It was like, yeah, okay, like he left the team, I guess, but it was more that his dad went a different direction. He's going to go with his dad, you know? So there's always two sides to the story, but you can definitely see where the salt and the hate builds when it's a situation like that. But I do want to give that sort of little asterisk. Like I said, I would never want a student to feel like you're forever in debt. Like, you know how when someone, like, I don't know, maybe they buy you a beer or they buy you dinner one time or something, and then, you know, years pass and like, yeah, but I bought you dinner that time, bro. And you'll be like, what? That's fucking nothing to do with it. Like, bro, you know, you're not, just because you do something for someone doesn't mean they're permanently, if you're doing it to think they're going to be in debt to you, you're doing it with the wrong reasons.
That's like a transactional relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that's a personality. That's a personal thing.
For me as an individual, if I was...
You don't think that way.
No. Yeah. And if I was aiding a student that way, my debt that I would feel I'm owed is a conversation if they were going to, you know, go off and train elsewhere. I would actually, not even a conversation, I would hope that they ask for my advice, you know, like, oh, hey, like, you know, I want to do some more training, or I'm moving to this, I want to move here. Like, where can I go? Like, I would be, my feeling would be like, hey man, you should know I'm here to help. Like, you know, talk to me and I'll help you make the best decision. I would like to think that's, you know, but anyway, I was just giving that story to explain. You can see how people get to that very, like, this person hates this person, and then that just translates to that person just hating that team because they associate that individual with that team.
It's just like classic, you know, I don't know, jiu-jitsu, fucking reality TV, bloody personality clashes, and that's just.
I just don't get it. It actually makes me sort of think about. It almost kind of makes me think about politics in the way that, we're not a political podcast. I'm not political at all, but. You know, I find it bizarre that in the US, and it's similar in Brazil, that people are like, oh, you know, my dad was a Republican, my dad's dad was a Republican, dad's dad was a Republican, so I'm a Republican. It's like, it's not a fucking football team, bro. Like, I mean, you should neither be a Republican or a Democrat. You should be, I vote for whoever is coming forward with the best proposal. You know, you have two candidates, right? To keep it simply, you got two candidates, and it doesn't matter. You've got, you know, it doesn't matter whether they're Republican or Democrat. It should be whoever is presenting the best solutions to the problems the countries.
Too logical.
And I don't get it. And people do that with teams as well. It's like, you know, like let me think, you know, like, I don't know. Actually, I'll tell you this. Whenever I'm in Jiujitsu, the city that Bernardo's from, there's actually an alliance there. And I did want to go visit it. I didn't end up having time, but like, even though I'm Alliance, when I'm in Jiu-Jitsu, I go train at Brazilian top team.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's like, it fucking doesn't matter. I'm not saying anything bad about the Alliance in Jiu-Jitsu. I've never been there, so it's not as simple as, well, the Brazilian top team's better. But it's like, well, they're already friends of mine. I've trained there before. I know their coach. I know Bernardo. Like, I go there. It doesn't fucking matter. You don't owe me, Kieren.
I wish I did. What's the price? I'll buy you.
One more coffee and I'm all yours.
But this was this is an interesting topic. It's not something that we can really say, hey, if you're in this situation, do this, this, and this, because it's very independent.
Yeah, but I mean, hang on.
Individual.
Let me read a quote. So this happened quite recently. Let me just bring it up here.
Dun 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 dun.
Wait for it.
It's very entertaining podcasting.
Wait for it.
Dramatic pauses.
Nope,
we need a Jamie to look things up. It's like, Jamie, look that up.
Jamie, get a boy's name.
What?
A girl's name. Boy's name. Girl's name. Jamie.
Jamie's a man.
Jamie's a man?
Yes. What's wrong? Just look up the fucking thing, man.
What?
People listening fucking hell, just skip. Okay, so on Spotify, you have a skip 15-second button. I need everyone to start pressing that until something interesting occurs.
Look, this a refreshing approach to changing teams helped Lucas Rodriguez achieve his something. And it's more, let me just open it, to achieve his BJJ goals. So when he was a brown belt, he trained, where is he? From Europe, I think, from Sweden, actually. And he was offered to go train at AOJ under the Mendes brothers. And yeah, his coach, who essentially encouraged him to go. And I believe that Lucas has now ended up back in Sweden just because of COVID and, everything's sort of fallen apart. But his coach said, the people who really want your well-being or care for you, they don't care where you are or where you fight for. They only care how good you feel.
Wow.
I guess similar to what, Jesus, you want some tissues, bro?
Mate, start weeping.
But, and I think that's true, kind of like what I said at the start. The people who really have your best interests at heart, they're gonna, I don't know, well, if you said to me that you were gonna go train at one of these other gyms, that are in Sydney or whatever.
Gracie Bar Bondi Junction.
Yeah, because you felt it was the best decision for your jiu-jitsu, I don't know.
Depends on where.
I don't know, man. Even thinking about it's making me sad. I don't know. It'd be hard for it not to sting a bit, but if that's the decision that, I don't own you, right? I mean, if that's the decision you make, I would wish you the best. I would stop saying hello. I would stop saying hello to you at competitions.
Yeah, you block me on Instagram.
Whoever you're fighting, I would coach them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bro, he'll sit in that triangle forever. And he won't tap, but he'll be fucked.
Clickety-clack gets fucked.
Clickety-clack gets fucked. I can't wait. I really want one of us to have something tear in the gym. Clickety-clack, it's fucked.
Oh, shit. On that note, I think that's a good place to wrap up the episode.
Short and sharp today.
Short, sharp, to the point. Lots of banter, lots of shit talking. Probably didn't learn anything. If you did, I apologize.
I guess the overall message would be, just do it, bro.
Just tape it.
Just tape it. No, they don't own you, man. You go wherever you want.
Make the best decision for yourself.
Yeah, when you're in the team, be part of the team, right?
Yeah.
But if your goals aren't aligned with the team, off you go.
Off you fucking go. On your bike, mate.
On your bike. Instead of on your horse.
Oh, mate. No one rides a horse. On that note, thanks so much for listening to the Beyond Jiu-Jitsu podcast. This was episode number 73. If you enjoyed the episode and you want more goodness from the podcasting gentleman, then you can find us on Instagram at Beyond Jiu-Jitsu _podcast. And we have a Patreon. Also, submit your audio questions. Episode 80.
I was about to say that, bro.
Saw it in your eyes. Episode 80 is fast approaching. We need some more audio questions.
Yeah, the last one was really cool. It was really nice to actually hear the audio questions and play them for the episode for everyone else to hear.
We enjoyed it.
We prefer the audio questions. We did get one particular question where the individual specifically said they weren't able I don't need to mention why, but they, weren't comfortable to send through an audio question. So that's cool too. You can still send a text question.
No, you can't.
Okay, wait, Kieren said you can't. So that person, we will not be answering it. No,
we will, but that's the only exception.
Everyone else, fuck
Audio
off.
questions.
Audio questions.
If you're new to the podcast, every 10 episodes we do a Ask a Black Belt Q&A, or you can ask me if there's something to do with non-black belt related things. What's it like to be shit at jiu-jitsu? Well, strap yourself in. But submit your audio questions. It's fast approaching. We want your questions and we want to hear your voices. So you can do so by the first link in our link tree, which can be found on our Instagram bio.
Yes, it can.
But until next time.
Boop, boop, beep, boop.